The new year is upon us, and this year we don't want to make the same tired resolutions. We want a complete revolution in our life. This is your year to make it happen, to get back in the race, to win the race. Welcome to Morning Tea. I'm Joanne coming to you from the Pinnacle American Records studio at the Peaks, overlooking the magnificent metropolitan Phoenix Valley. If you're ready for a revolution in your life, here are some things to consider. You may be one who's already at the top of your game. You may be another who's been sidelined or couched for way too long, but you both want the same thing. You want the next level. And that requires a decision followed by an action. We know that every large goal is achieved, sometimes in large leaps, but most of the time in small pieces. So make that decision today and follow it up with an action. It could be as simple as writing a note, creating a list, reaching out and setting up a meeting, booking a life or leadership coaching session. Do something. Take a step in that direction. And be intelligent about the steps you take. Despite what you may have believed or heard, we cannot do everything we want. We can't have everything we want. If you imagine that you, in your power, your own will, your own strength, can attract and draw things to yourself in God's universe outside of His will, then you're likely going to fall into a trap or end up very disappointed. So make sensible plans, and whatever you decide to do, always end with God willing. And by the way, it's always a good idea to start the year with a whole health analysis. Determine if there are any important areas that need attention. Do you have naysayers in your life with too much influence? Squelching your joy, I love that word, squelch. Make a soft sucking sound, such as that made by walking heavily through mud. Do you have squelches in your life that need distancing? How about your sleep? Are you getting enough? Are you eating well? You know, in today's informational age, there's just no excuse not to know how to get nutritious food for maximum health. So get yourself set up with a new exercise plan, get off those extra pounds, get yourself into peak performance. Really take these things seriously, even though they're very basic. They will give you the tools you need to race well. Also do a quick analysis of the past year. What worked? What failed? At what point in your process did things break down? And what needs to change so that you're not going to find yourself back at that same place again. Mistakes are good, but only if you don't repeat them. Perhaps the next step is something scary. My children used to jump off cliffs into the river, and they really loved it. They're fearless. They love the thrill and the excitement, and I just videotaped. I'm not a cliff jumper. But they've taken that fearless spirit into adulthood, where they continue pushing and striving and going for the top of whatever it is they're after. I remember when Crystal was about 16 or so, she told me that she was going to call a major, well-established company in the entertainment field with a vision she had of how they could work with her. And I said, and I'm rather ashamed to say this now, I was a miserable wet blanket, and I said, no one's going to take your call over there. But she was unfazed. They took her call. They set up a meeting with this quite tenacious teenager, and they forged a relationship and worked together for many years. Honestly, I was blown away, and I was wrong. And I never said those words again. Now it's always, what a great idea, why not? And honestly, why not? You know, all anyone can say to you is no, and many times the answer is no. But if you've got a gut feeling about something that you should be shooting for, something that's kind of way out there, then have a go. You'll have no chance of getting there if you don't. But if you start and you find out it's not going to work, then at least you'll never have to live with the regret that you didn't try. Next, to experience a revolution in your life, you must revive your spirit. And one way this can be done is through the arts, which are designed to speak to our spirit and inspire us and lift us up and move us. Particularly in our musically vibrating existence, as Pythagoras noted, there's geometry in the humming of the strings, there is music in the spacing of the spheres. Spirit is that divine breath God breathed into mankind at creation, and with it, we resonate as part of the assembly of the universe. And that same spirit that was available to Bach, Beethoven, Plato, and Newton, and every great mind is available to us now. We just have to tune in. We have to find a way to tune into it. When I play a Bach concerto, his spirit is revived. He lives, he speaks to me, and I can experience that genius and be inspired by it. When you play your musical instrument, you envelop yourself with brilliant sonic vibrations. They're pressing on your being and bringing you joy. And when you take music and couple it with lovely lyric, it can move into the deepest parts of your soul with a miraculous healing power. And this alone can revolutionize your life if you will utilize the power of daily music making. So revive your spirit and also feed your spiritual life so that you can increase and grow your spirit. Sadly, the truth is that the day we're born, we are one day closer to the day we're going to die. There's no escaping it. Longfellow in his Psalm of Life says, "Time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still, like muffled drums, are beating funeral marches to the grave." Hopeless, yes, our bodies are dying, but our spirit can be nurtured, and it gets younger and stronger, soaring on wings like eagles, running and not getting tired. And we can have the hope of wide-eyed children. You just saw this at Christmas time. They're so eager to receive gifts. Have you ever seen a child question their worthiness to be lavished with presents? Never. And we need to grab onto that same attitude towards spiritual growth. Truly, part of revolutionizing our life is to rediscover our childlike qualities, and this can open up the world for us. What is it about children? Here are some things that I observed raising my 5. They are excited about life pretty much all the time. In fact, they get so excited that they just go non-stop until they literally pass out face down in their dinner. I've witnessed this many times. Children are bombarded with new things and new situations all the time, but they have no problem seeing the best. Everything is interesting. Everything has possibility. Children are not respecters of persons based on wealth or class or color. They're just not prejudiced. Children are shocked and dismayed by evil. I remember when my kids were old enough and they started asking about the word, we talked about abortion, and I explained to them this was the killing of a baby growing inside of its mother's tummy. And they were absolutely horrified by that. And that's because children's hearts are tender and they've not been corrupted. They've not been hardened by sin. Children have vivid imaginations. They're endlessly inquisitive. It's like when they've exhausted you with 50 questions, they come up with 50 more. And they're brutally honest. They tell it like they see it, straight as an arrow. Have you ever been mortified by the raw, unfiltered truth rolling off the tongues of your little ones in public? And last, but not at all least, they are not skeptical, they're not cynical, but they have unquestioning trust and faith. The kind of faith that's a prerequisite to getting into heaven. Anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it. Albert Einstein said, "Do not grow old, no matter how long you live. Never cease to stand like curious children before the great mystery into which we were born." And remember, you're gold. You have high net worth. You may well be encased in rubble, which has left you ineffective, but it's just going to have to be chipped away at, hammered, burned off with the heat and life's trials. So this year, don't rest in your comforts, which serve to make you soft and set you back in the race of life, but look for and welcome the sharper edge that's going to refine you and expose your value and make you useful and help you win. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this, don't go without subscribing, because every week I bring you ways to stay inspired and words to encourage you on your journey to a mountain-moving life. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.